day and welcome. This is the Tradepass podcast. I'm Jane and I have a very special, hearty, and warm gentleman joining us all the way from Nairobi in Kenya. This is Mr. Hartnell Ndungi, Chief Data Officer at Absa Group. And I'm going to say hello in his language, which is Swahili. Going to attempt at least. Habari yako and welcome, Hartnell.
Mzuri sana, and you have actually done so well. We're doing well back in Kenya. Everything is fine, and I'm happy to be on the podcast.
It's fantastic. Your name, Hartnell, itself is such a hearty, warm, sort of a name. And I've heard so much about your warmth and love. Tell us, how is Kenya at this point in time and what's the feeling in your country?
A bit chilly. We are having the weather changing. It was actually dry at the start of the year, but now it's a bit chilly. It's raining. People are happy. So we are doing well.
That is nice. What is the thing that keeps you hearty and happy on most days, Hartnell?
I'm someone who is in pursuit of knowledge. So every day I wake up and read something interesting about the future. Today I was reading about GPT-4, just seeing exactly how we are actually moving towards having a computer or a software that is close to a human being with regards to intelligent quotient.
GPT-4 is all over the internet. Do you think the hype is real or do you think it is something that is going to sustain and AI is definitely going to take over all facets of the world?
At the rate at which people are innovating, I've seen NVIDIA, Adobe, different product houses coming up with their own versions of generative large language models. I believe this is here to stay. The use cases have actually grown. I also have a few I'm trying out in the organization. So I believe we are not actually on the hype cycle only. It's actually coming to fruition. We will see solutions and products based off GPT.
Fantastic. Well, you are the Chief Data Officer at Absa Group, and you did say that you are currently working from home. So currently, what is the day in your life like?
Wow, excellent. So my day starts off obviously very early. I work out, so I wake up at 6 and make sure I hit the gym. Then I come back and just check my calendar and make sure I peruse through what's changing in the landscape of data. I work through teams. So in the morning, mid-morning, I usually check in with the team, just make sure that they're doing the right thing. We are having the right projects on course. I also attend different innovative and also update meetings with my different consumers, ensuring that we are innovating and serving them. Before the end of the day, we make sure that we actually go and showcase our propositions to business. So the difference between our setup, having a chief data office, is that we do not only produce, but we also go out and showcase. I may have a few meetings with external stakeholders, mostly fintech partners who we are trying to partner with right now. But at the end of the day, I make sure that I check off one, ensuring that we are progressively advancing towards closing our key projects. Two, that our stakeholders are happy and we're getting the right kind of requests. And three, that our systems are up and we are actually making sure the wheels of innovation are turning within the organization.
That's fantastic. I like the fact that you said you start with a nice workout. It gets you all ready and then checking out all the trends and then checking your calendar and then getting on with your day. But Hartnell, I read about this and this really makes me super excited to ask you this next question. You're the first Chief Data Officer to be appointed in East and Central Africa. I want to know if this is actually true. And in the banking and financial services sector, how have you been able to really master the development and execution of key data and digital strategies for such large financial organizations?
Basically, you're asking about my career track record. And first of all, yes, I am the first appointed Chief Data Officer in East and Central Africa. I negotiated that title when actually I was being appointed because at that time, most people knew about MI, they knew about analytics and business intelligence, but nobody knew about enterprise use of data for different use cases. The story starts when I was actually leaving my university and I started delving into development. And during that time, I used to write code for software. I fell in love with the back end of the systems and includes databases. So I used to be so in love with databases and how data sits and how you can retrieve and store. And over time, I started understanding that data could be used for multiple purposes. Fast forward to my consulting life, I used to work with KPMG for different consulting expertise. I was able to use data for forensic data analysis. I used data as well for understanding how systems storing financial data are used for financial reporting. And I was the person actually reviewing those systems before the audit reports are published. And over time, coming from the East and the West, mostly Germany, as well as New York and the Americas, we started hearing about data analytics. That's the time when I actually decided by myself to harness enough capacity with regards to understanding what data analytics is. And I was able to actually master the practice of use of data to create value for organizations. Now, from KPMG and my consulting life, I jumped into the commercial sector. I worked for one of the top tier banks in the country. They were happy enough to believe in me and gave me a very huge budget. In Kenya shillings, it was close to 2 billion Kenya shillings. And we were able to train and ensure that we had the right kind of partners and suppliers giving us the right solutions to set up a data practice in the country. In my view, that was the first time that the financial services sector had a very large data team that was set up locally. Why I was the first is because at that time, everything I knew was self-taught. I had the opportunity of working with other consultants, from, as I said, from New York, Germany, Croatia, and I was able to learn one or two things from them. And over time, people started seeing how that bank doubled its profits by using data. And that's when now I believe in 2013, 2014, banks in Kenya started saying, what is this new capacity or capability that people are having that is setting them apart? And that was data. So over time, I moved from that bank, joined Barclays then, now it's Absa. And I was able to explain to them how to hire me. So basically how to set up the role and the structure, what kind of people that actually you require for a proper data team. And that's exactly how I became appointed. By that time in South Africa, we had less than a dozen chief data officers. Now there are more than 200. I believe in Kenya now there are only two. One of the gentlemen that I know works in the insurance sector. But that's basically it. The people who have gone through my training or stewardship, I believe, are more than 100 in Kenya. I'm happy to see that the practice is still growing in most of the banks, actually all the banks. At least I can count one person I've either recruited or trained in my career journey.
From 1 to 12 to 200 and so many mentees all across. I really like that you put so much heart into mentoring people, because unless you carry people with you, it's very difficult to grow. And I see that that's what you've done now. With the Absa Bank, this is a truly African brand inspired by the people that you serve. And you're across Botswana, Ghana, Kenya, Mauritius, Mozambique, Seychelles, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia. And that is such a whole bunch of countries, as well as insurance operations in Botswana, Kenya, and a whole bunch of other countries. Now, as the chief data officer of this bank, you lead the bank's data science, data governance, BI, and the analytics teams to, wear this one hat under which, so many teams cross-functionally operate. How do you manage it? How do you make sure that you fix the right heart in it, Hartnell?
Very good question. The easiest way to answer this question is by giving the framework of how we sit within the bank. And I'll give a good example of Kenya. We have 4 pillars in data. I think you've mentioned a few. The first one is business intelligence and analytics. And basically what this team does, they're the people who interface with business. So if you're a business champion, a business user, and want to get information about data, a report, an insight, a visualization done for you, you have a system, which is a help desk system, that you can log in your request. Now, the BI team is composed of analysts, developers, engineers, and visualization developers, people who are able to get data, source it from the different golden sources of system of record, and be able to create usable data marts as well as visualization for you. Now, this is the biggest team depending on the maturity level you are at. But for us as a bank, we usually ensure that nobody in the business lacks a report or insight with regards to use of data. Now, the second team is actually data management. I believe now people know the importance of protecting data and properly managing it. So data management is very key to us. One, because it's a compliance requirement. If you look at South Africa, BCBS 239, if you look at POPIA, if you look at different regulations in Kenya right now, Data Protection and Privacy Act. So we are actually saying that we need to manage our data as an asset. And I have a team who have the right kind of guardrails around how data is used. The models team look at how we can create models from macros. So we look at how the environment is shaping up and know exactly what data to use and how do we fit it together to advise the business about the future outlook on how the market is going to affect us. And the last team is AI, and this is a data science team. I was lucky to actually hire someone from the US. He's a PhD, a doctor. He's actually leading my team. And he's actually able to bring together different expertise and specialities in how you're able to use not only logistic regression kind of solutions, but also large language models to create value in the business. Now, the trick is just summarized into 3 points. Number one, good leadership. For you to actually run a very diverse team, you have to have competent leaders and people who are actually able to manage different kinds of challenges as they occur. The second thing is independence. I usually lead from the back. If you actually are going to have a very good team, you have to empower them, ensure that they are well trained, and give them the autonomy to actually do their job. After they are actually having any kind of challenges, when you give them that independence, they come back to you for that kind of support. So that's something very key. And number three is value. We measure the value we deliver to business on a continuous basis. So what happens is that we talk to our business champions and ask them, whatever we are producing for you, is it value adding? And that gives us the momentum and the North Star vision to ensure that we continue delivering more use cases to business for consumption.
Fantastic. I heard how you are making sure that your teams are independent, you lead from the back. But most importantly, I heard that one word, which is my next question, it triggers that artificial intelligence. It seems to be ruling the roost in your space and every other space. You have a really deep understanding of this, along with data management and digital transformation of organizations. Now, we've heard of MTP, STP for data and AI in setting up such dynamic data teams, which is necessary, right? Now, working on harnessing actionable insights, delivering key use cases, like you said, that drive profitability, operational efficiency, growth, and transformation. How exactly does AI fit in the picture in making sure that the organization honestly outperforms the rest from a competitive standpoint?
I'll be selling a trade secret here, but I'll say it. AI is the only way you're actually going to set yourself apart. Now, I've presented in multiple forums about data maturity. And for those who understand the Gartner maturity model, at level 3 or 4, you actually have to have the right kind of power, data power, to actually harness value. Now, from my experience, AI, data science is that fuel you require to bring the extra dime on the table. So I can give you a few use cases. As a bank, we actually have RMs, people who go out and they talk to customers and see exactly how they're going to sell and create more value to us. Now, in the past, and as a practice for most banks, what happens is that they send the RMs out and they have to meet 100 customers and try and explain to them what are the products they should pick up. Now, using artificial intelligence, we can reduce that list from 100 people an RM should see to 10. And we give you a probability metric of more than 90% of the person you're going to speak to accurately is going to take up a proposition or solution from you. So how do we do it? We are able to understand and be able to personalize our offerings and understand what our customers need. And we can be able to run lookalike analysis, whereby we check the customers who are already taking products with us and scientifically try to identify of the customers we have in our pipeline who are more probably going to actually take up our propositions. Now, by doing that, we have actually been able to deliver a lot of leads to business. Actually, as we speak right now, AI is giving leads to our business frontline colleagues to ensure that they do not waste time with regards to conversions. And you'll be able to see the numbers of Absa Bank. We have performed very well this year as well. And behind this engine that ensures that we are efficient and effective is AI. So AI is catching up. We have multiple use cases as well. When you're talking about customer experience, customer interaction, we are using the Google BAT model. Just try to understand how do we prioritize which customer complaints to tackle first. How do you automatically get sentiments of what users are saying on social media or on our different channels and know exactly how to proactively intervene to ensure that our net promoter score remains up there.
Fantastic. I mean, I really like how you've put AI at the heart of things. And I mean, the world is currently doing it. Thanks for giving us that trade secret tip. But I'm sure more tips like that will come up at the World Financial Innovation Series, 24th and 25th of May 2023 in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm really excited about how we're going to be powering East Africa's financial hub with the next wave of technology with wonderful people like you. But speaking of tips, what is the one trend apart from AI that is currently something that is definitely shining bright and loud in the banking and financial space? I mean, world over, globally, what are we going to see in 2023, 2024, 2025? Something that really sticks out and something that really is going to give banks and financial institutions the uppercut or the upper edge.
Again, another trade secret, but I will share for the benefit of educating our colleagues. In the past, fintechs used to come to banks and fintechs used to come and request, can you really partner with us? Because one, you have the financial muscle. Number two, you understand the banking ecosystem. And 8 years later, fast forward to now, banks are actually seeking for fintechs because they have understood that fintechs were agile enough. They could be able to deliver niche propositions to customers in unbanked ecosystems that makes them very, very competitive with regards to customer acquisition and retention. So this one trade secret I'll share is something every bank should have in their strategies. And this is something called reciprocity. The other term for this is data partnerships. The amount of data banks hold is sufficient, but the rate at which data is being generated in different fintech organizations, they are actually together having more data than what banks have. I remember when we were purchasing large mainframe servers 10 or so years back in the banking sector, we usually have people saying you are actually processing so much data. Now fintechs are doing this on the cloud. For us to remain competitive as banks, you have to have a data partnership framework. Actively, as Absa, we are present in different fintech ecosystems. We are already partnering with some of them, trying to give solutions in procurement, in lending, in micro services with regards to banking as a service, as well as in microfinance. These are new capabilities that all banks should actually harness in line to ensuring that they have a very healthy data partnership framework. Now, obviously, you're going to have APIs part of the discussion, value measurement, data privacy and protection, but we have done it so anyone else can actually be able to do it.
Reciprocity, data partnership, and a lot of trade secrets on Let's Talk Tech with Hartnell. Next up, we've been hearing about this increased use of hyper personalization in the banking industry in 2023, a very customer centric approach. Now, the customer has always been king, but with everybody holding a mobile phone in their hands, they have become kings and queens to the next level. So how do you ensure that there's behavioral data science and AI that actually fits your customer in the best way possible at Absa and even otherwise? What's happening?
I'll say this, gone are the days whereby we used to segment our customers based on the products we sell. And a good example is you will either be bucketed as a corporate customer based on you being a company, or low income, middle income, high income, based on the products we're trying to sell to you. I believe customers have one, unique personas, which may be varying depending on what kind of bank you operate. But number two, dynamic personas. So the science of understanding customer personas should be something that runs real time. So you actually should have the ability to not only identify the right kind of data points, but also to create personas that you can offer solutions or products to in near real-time basis, as well as change the personas now and then. I'll give a very simple example. For those who are statistical enough, there's a model called RFM, which enables you to cluster your customers based on how they are transacting with you. So how recent they transact with you, the kind of money they transact with you, and how frequent they do that. That's a very simplistic model that we used years back to try and understand, in addition to actually just calling a customer a digital customer, how can you bucket them to know what kind of loan to offer them, what kind of product to not offer them, and to actually advise them to redirect or change the offering they're currently servicing with you. So we are doing this using AI as well and data science. We have developed different models, and you have to have the right kind of capacity to do this. We are able on a 24-hour basis rerun our scripts using MLOps and we are actually able to know how our personnel is changing and how can we service them better. This is a capability that ensures that you no longer just create products that end up not being taken up, but are actually value adding and useful to your customers.
That is fantastic. I mean, I like the way that you create these personas, and there's so much of science behind how you do this. But as the chief data officer, of your bank, and I'm sure you're interacting with chief data officers across the world, is there like a trade secret that you guys exchange that you say is going to take your bank to the next level in the upcoming, say, decade or so? Is there something that's like a buzz amidst the chief data officers, apart from the rest of the technical world?
So last year, if you ask me that question, people will say it's democratization. This year, if you ask me, I will tell you it's data partnerships. But the bedrock or the foundation of this question is actually something called test and learn. Is how fast you are able to test out any new technology that is coming about and knowing exactly how you use it to create value for the organization. Now, earlier on, you mentioned a very interesting topic, which is digital and digital transformation. Now, multiple people may have different definitions of digital. My simple definition is the convergence of multiple fourth industrial revolution technologies powered by connectivity. This means that for you to remain digitally active and transform the customers and the enterprise that you're actually dealing with, you actually have to ensure that you are adapting and adopting to this fourth industrial revolution technologies. So cloud computing, AI, data analytics, now LLM, different kinds of models. You have to be fast enough with regards to how you take this and put them into production and see exactly what kind of value comes out of it. So for us, mention it all, from warehousing to Hadoop to AWS, cloud computing, GCP, all of those things we have actually dipped our hands into, and we are continuously innovating and seeing exactly how we are going to set ourselves apart. So this may be taken up by different experts in a different fashion, but the foundation is simply test and learn.
Test and learn. Well, always the approach to be a student throughout, even if you are the chief data officer, I'm guessing. Next up, I'm shifting to Kenya as a country. It's called the Silicon Savannah. People know that you guys definitely have at least 94% Kenyans who are mobile users. So there has been a digital or a mobile financial innovation that is happening amidst the young Kenyan population. And on the other side, the government has the Kenya Vision 2030, which aims to transform the life of the citizens. So, from a young Kenyan who's financially empowered, who's mobile, and the government that definitely has a certain vision, where is the meeting point for a country like Kenya when it comes to financial innovation overall? How amazingly transformative is going to be the next 10 years in fintech and in finance?
Now, that's a very good question, and I can tell you a brief background about how Kenya got here. I think everyone knows about the story of M-Pesa. And I can say as a culture, Kenyans are very competitive and innovative. In Absa, we call this Africanity. So basically, it's a unique way of doing things. And we embrace this interesting culture to drive our innovation and transformation across different sectors. You were very right. Once M-Pesa came to be a success and we saw how people were excited by the technology, I believe we were actually able to open up the doors. One, from the education sector, most campuses started offering technical courses. STEM courses became more attractive because people could see that if you work for a large telco like Safaricom, you're actually having a very good career and a very good job. And over time, it has gotten to a point whereby you don't even have to be in campus. Students who are in lower level high school are actually learning this kind of technologies on Udemy, online. You can actually go to YouTube and actually be able to know how to write code. Now, with the advent of GPT-4, we have actually seen mobile apps that have been coded and rendered in less than 5 minutes. So it's not about the how, but about how do you actually ensure that not only do you understand how code is built up, but how do you deploy it in the different parts of the sector? So for Kenya, we have different push and pull factors that have driven the digital sector to grow the way it has grown. Number one is the advent of funding. I think VC funding has actually really bolstered how people are actually taking up innovation and digital transformation in the country. Number two is just the will to innovate. People say out of every 10 startups, only one succeeds. Now, the interesting factor about Kenya is that every day 10 startups are formed. So it means that if your statistic is one startup succeeds every day, then we are actually going to have one successful startup every day. You mentioned about Vision 2030. We have three pillars. We have the social, economical, and political. I won't talk about the political. I'll talk about the social, whereby you're looking at health, education, and economic, whereby you're looking at manufacturing, other kinds of specialities. So I see the government supporting this because you have seen different funds as well as different innovative programs set up by the government, and we are seeing how universities are actually picking this up and seeing how it's going to be of value to the environment. So I believe we're in the right track. In 10 years, we should get to a point whereby we are similar to the proper Silicon Valley, not really Silicon Savannah, and we'll have more innovation coming out of Africa.
Well, definitely looks like the Silicon Valley of Africa is Kenya at this point in time. And I wish you guys all the success because that's exactly what we are capitalizing on. And we're coming to the World Financial Innovation Series in Kenya, like I said, 24th and 25th May 2023. Tell us how excited are you to be part of this and showcase what is happening with the financial revolution in your country.
Why I like the conference you organize is because you bring the right kind of partners on board. When I actually attend this kind of conference, I usually meet all the different players in the data space, not only in the banking sector, but also in the manufacturing, fast mover, consumer goods, as well as the different industries in Kenya. I look forward to seeing one, use cases and case studies on what people are doing with data. I'll also be happy to share tips, more tips, obviously, on how you can quickly advance your data maturity and how do you adapt to the different changes and the different technologies coming up in the different parts of the world. And I'll be looking just to network with different players as well, different suppliers, different innovators who are coming up with new solutions, just to see exactly how can this be of more value to Absa Bank. So one of the best series and conferences I attend, and I'm looking forward to being part of this one as well.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm really looking forward to all the fun that we're going to be having at WFIS Kenya. But our marketing team right here has actually partnered with some of the local news and media, an amazing lineup of media partners for this event. So, what exactly is it would you like to actually shout out to anybody who is covering this event? Because we just like to understand what's the buzz there.
So number one, I have to confidently say Absa is coming to take over the industry with regards to data capacity and capabilities. So get ready, be ready. We make sure that we have the right kind of data experts sitting with us. We are looking at how we are going to partner with different players in the ecosystem. So get ready to see exactly how Absa takes over the data industry in Kenya. And number two, I'd like to thank all the people who have walked the journey with me till this point. I think I've worked with different people in different parts of my career in the data space. Very happy to see how they are also creating their own ecosystems and kingdoms in different parts of the financial sector. So happy to see, and just shout out to all of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm really excited about everything that's going to come together in Kenya. But most importantly, Kenya in itself, it's an absolutely wonderful savannah, also apart from being a silicon savannah. So, three reasons why Kenya is the country to visit in general, apart from WFI's Kenya World Financial Innovation Series. Apart from that, three reasons to put Kenya on the bucket list for 2023.
One is our parks. You have to come. We have parks in the city. You look at some of the news publications. There's a time we had a lion wandering in the city. Don't worry, it won't happen again. But you can actually visit the parks. Then number two is our coffee and tea. Please come and sample our tea and coffee. Very, very good, authentic coffee and tea. Most of you already are drinking it from where you're seated because we export the same. And number three is the culture. Make sure you go and try out our local food. Make sure you go and talk to Bill. We'll give you different cool ornaments. Make sure you get a Kenyan band when you come here and just enjoy our culture in general.
That's amazing. I mean, I've heard so much about Kenyan culture in general. Is there one thing about your culture that you're super proud of in this year? Like, even the young Kenyans are so proud of it. Like, of course, you're in India. The food is pretty amazing. The people are incredible. But I want to know, and I know that there is a connect there. So what's it about your culture that you're most proud of?
So I'll talk about a unique Kenyan culture right now that is taking over the space, and this is called the hustle culture. So we have this coin term whereby a hustle means just be innovative, try out something new. Kenyans are hustlers; they get things done. So come and interact and see exactly how we hustle down here.
Well, I think the hustle culture is something that's a hashtag across the world, with young millennials and Gen Zs definitely doing a lot of things. But in the field of data, in the field of AI, ML, and everything that you do, I know that you're definitely keeping it right on top of the hustle. How many hours do you work in a day, Hartnell?
No, this day I have a work-life balance culture, so I make sure that I actually also spend time with my family. But yes, I've done previously in my career 14, 16 hours a day. At this days, I try to make it 8 to 12 maximum.
That's fantastic. Well, I really like that you spend time with your family and your friends. I'm really excited about coming to Kenya very shortly, and I definitely want to experience some of the culture. This is the year of travel for so many people to explore your continent and your country in particular. So I'm really excited about it. But before we go, you've taught me a little bit of how to say hello, which is habariako, but to say goodbye, there's a little bit of a twist, right? It goes Kwaheri, right?
You have got it spot on. And how I'll
Kwaheri.
either say kwaheri, which is bye as well, or I'll say sikunjema, which is good day. So sikunjema.
Sikunjama. Okay,
Yes,
Kwaheri Sikunjama. Okay, I'm learning so much,
got it.
and I really am looking forward to learning so much more. There's so much of an energy and bright light about you, and I love the fact that you sort of spread the joy and you take what you do with the hustle so well. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition. This is episode 6 of Let's Talk Tech. I always like to finish the podcast with a small story and motto of the person's life. Need not have to do anything with what you do, but if you had to leave us with something that young people or anyone listening to the podcast can take home, what would be the story and the motto of your life?
Mastery. That is you have to really, you will try different things in your career, in your life, trying to get your footing. But once you get it, make sure you master your trade. So I am an electrical engineer. That's how I was trained. Found my way into telecommunication, programming, financial services, banking. Now I'm a data expert. It took me multiple years to try out different things, but once I fell in love with data, I ensured that I was the top of the list with regards to understanding the art. So make sure you master what you do, but you can only master by trying out different things, finding your niche, and focusing.
Fantastic. Well, master ring anything that you do. It's something that I read. I think Sachin Tendulkar, a famous batsman in India, said, do anything you love for 10,000 hours and you should be good at it. I think you've spent way more hours. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for putting the heart into my episode, Hartnell. It's been amazing. I would like you to, just keep the spirit and the energy on all the way till 24th and 25th of May 2023. That's all we have time for on this edition of the podcast. Goodbye and kwaheri.
Kwaheri. Bye.